Do you think there will always be war in the world? Is this just a part of human nature?
I think so. I think it is. Until we move past resource limitation, there's always going to be at least that one particular cause of conflict. And then we can also consider all our psychological lizard brain emotions that cause us to act out. Although, we're hopefully we have enough things in place to stop that from rising to the level of a war. But we have our own biology, our own psychology, and evolution to combat. But there are pragmatic reasons to exert violence sometimes, unfortunately, and that one of those cases could be resource limitations. And so, while your question was, do I think there'll always be war in this world? My unfortunate answer is perhaps yes. But once there's more than one world and we're less resource constrained, then perhaps there'll be a valve of sorts for that.
I talked to Jocko on this podcast. I told him about a song called "Brothers in Arms" by Dire Straits, and the question I asked him, I'd like to ask you the same question: is like the song goes, "Do you think we're fools to wage war on our brothers in arms?" And Jocko said, "Our enemy is not our brothers in arms; they're the enemy." And so this kind of notion that we're all human, that's a notion, that's a luxury you can have. But there is good and bad in this world, according to Jocko.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that anger and hate when I was in Ukraine among some people, where there was a sense where you could be brothers and sisters, you can have family, you can have love from Ukraine to Russia. But now that everything changed and generational hate for some people have taken over. So I guess the question is, when you think about the enemy, is there hate there? Do you acknowledge that they're human?
I never had any hate or discontent, when I was doing my job, I'll say. But I was also never in a true life or death situation where they were going to kill me if I didn't kill them. But, I think that environment isn't one born out of hate, being in that type of scenario. And, in a sense, it's how to be alive, right? I mean, that's our natural state is be fighting for our survival in a sense. And so I think there's great power and strength and clarity perhaps in that. And it's not always born out of hate, but out of necessity. And we can't always control that. And I think as we focus on ourselves so much, we only dance on that pinhead when we find ourselves fighting for things that we need. And we're always taking from someone else at this point. And so as someone that's been in combat and very high above it, I'll say, right, where I didn't feel like I was in particular danger, I rationalized it and I made my wife do it, knowing that there were people on the other side that were going to die that were on our side than not. So it was always a very human thing. It was never a reaction, emotional reaction of any sense.
So you were able to see the basic, it's human versus human. There's some aspect of war that is basically one people fighting each other.
Yes. At the end of the day, especially I would say in aviation, tactical aviation, there's almost a kinship with your enemies in a sense, because you know that you know them in a sense, right? You know what they've been through, you know what training they've been through, you know where they've failed, and you know what type of person they are, because it's a very unique person that does that job and usually can spot them.
I guess it's the kind of respect you have for the craftsmanship of the job they've taken on.
Certainly. And that person didn't come out in his $100 million jet because I pissed him off. It's not an emotional response. We're both there, maybe because we chose to be in some sense, but at the behest of someone else and outside of our control and power. And so in a sense, for me, it's almost a challenge that we've engaged upon agreeably, but that's such a romantic version that I have the luxury to have, being high in my castle in the jet up there, not on the ground. So I understand that it's a bit more romantic than perhaps someone on the ground experiencing all the horrors down there, because everything looks very small from above.
And that's another aspect of war with greater autonomy, when you're controlling the mission versus, have a Genghis Khan type of intimacy in terms of the actual experience of war, where you murder with a sword versus a gun versus a remotely controlled drone versus a strategic mission assignment to an autonomous drone that executes.
Abstracted away until it's just a small decision.
And my worry is the people without a voice are completely forgotten and silenced in all of these calculations. I spoke to a lot of people, poor people, that feel like they've never really had a voice, and they're too easily forgotten, even within the country of Ukraine. It's the big city versus the rural divide.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget the people that don't have a Twitter account and don't that their basic existence is just trying to survive, trying to put food on the table, and they don't have anything else. And they are the ones that truly feel the pain of war, of the supply chain going down, of the food supplies going down, of a cold winter without power.